It's Texas football talk
from those who wore the burnt orange.
Welcome to Longhorn Lowdown. Now here's Todd Hunt, Stevie Lee, and Stu Myrick.
Welcome to another Longhorn Lowdown. Stu Myrick, Todd Hunt, Stevie Lee, the whole crew is back together. Hello, fellas. How you doing?
Hey.
It is another beautiful week here in the ATX. And joining us this week in the virtual lounge, Texas has always had a great tradition with running backs, and this man definitely carried that tradition on. Played at Texas from 2008 to 2011, then put 6 years into the NFL, including some great times with the Carolina Panthers, helped them get to a Super Bowl. And the biggest Captain America fan that I know, he is the pride of Pearland High School, Fozzie Whitaker. What's up, man?
Man, what's going on? I appreciate you guys having me on the show, and I'm excited to talk a little Texas football with y'all tonight.
Well, we're excited to talk about you, man. It's good to see you. I think you and I, last time we saw each other may have been Radio Road Super Bowl 52 maybe, or 51.
Yep. That was out in Houston, too, back home.
Yeah, in Houston. Yeah,
yes,
you were one of the smart guys that didn't go to Minneapolis. That was way too cold.
That's too cold, baby. I was trying to play in it, but obviously that didn't happen. So
yeah. Oh my God, that was too cold. So
if it's that cold, you won't find me there.
Yeah, I learned my lesson that year. What are you up to these days? I know you're doing SiriusXM with Holly Rowe, right?
Yeah, so I'm actually doing the morning show now. I started off doing doing the show with Holly Rowe and Gabe Eichert. I was doing the afternoon show on Big 12 today. Now I switched to the morning show with Ari Timken.
I love Ari.
On live every Monday from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Big 12 this morning, channel 375 on SiriusXM, and then on the weekends, whenever the Longhorns are playing, I do the pregame, halftime, and postgame coverage with Longhorn Network. So I'm trying to fill up my broadcasting role a little bit and have a little fun with sticking around football and talking football, which is not a job to me. That's kind of the dream job. So
exactly.
It's an awesome opportunity just to be around the game that I love and get to talk about it and have some fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Any of us that get to be behind a microphone, that's the way we treat it. It's fun. It's not a job. And you do such a fantastic job on Longhorn Network. And working with Ari, how much grief have you given him for being a Jayhawk? Well, I say Jayhawk fan.
He talks about it so much that I feel bad because he almost doesn't even want to be associated with them during the football season. Now, basketball season come around, a whole different
art. Yes. Ari is very proud of his basketball Jayhawks.
He will let you know.
Ari Timken,
one of
the best in the business. He also does the Dallas Cowboys pre and post game.
Yes,
for the Dallas Cowboys radio network. And I've worked with Ari back in the day. So love Ari to death. So man, that's a lot of good stuff there.
Yes. So how did you become a Captain American fan, as Stu put it? Because I don't know the story.
Yeah, man. So I grew up, I've always been a superhero fan, and that came from my mom, who she used to call herself Wonder Woman. I know that's a DC character, but that's kind of what she viewed herself as. And it's because whenever my dad passed away at a young age, she had to take care of myself and my two older brothers by herself. And so she did a lot of things where she had to sacrifice a lot in order to make sure that all three of us were taken care of. I never needed anything. Anytime I needed a new pair of cleats for football or some track spikes for the track season coming up, man, she always got it taken care of. Whenever I needed to go travel, to go run for district, or if I needed to go around the states for National Junior Olympics, she found a way to always get me there, and money never was an object with her for myself or my brothers, and just allowed us to still have a as close to normal lifestyle without a father as we could. And so my love for superheroes stemmed from that. And then I eventually started, I guess, venturing out to see who I liked as a superhero the most. And the person that always stood out to me since I was in high school was Captain America. And the reason why I love Captain America the most is because it's not always about what he can do from a talent or from a superhero standpoint, but it's the type of heart and the type of determination that he had, the never quitting, the mindset that he always took into the comic books and movies and shows that he was on. And I looked at it and I said, wow, that's kind of how I want my life to be. I want to embody somebody like that has those types of qualities that I can portray in myself. And so I took that and I literally took it to heart, because that's the way I try to play each and every down. I try to show as much heart. I try to give 100% every single time I step on the field. I want to give it my all. In the first Captain America movie, you see where he jumps on a grenade. It's a test to see who will be the one to sacrifice himself for the rest of his teammates. And that's kind of how I look at myself too. I don't want to be selfish. I want to be a guy that will give all I have in order to see other people around me be successful. And so I just took some of the qualities that embody who Captain America is, and I tried to instill them in myself and create my own Captain America alter ego. So that's why I'm a huge Captain America fan.
Yeah,
That's
you were
pretty
telling
cool.
us. You were telling us before we went on air about how you have a whole Captain America room. How big has
Yeah,
it
man,
gotten?
It's a whole wall. So I got a little game room set up where I play my Xbox and stuff. And on one wall, I have my entire Captain America collection, posters, figurines. I got a shield. Marvel actually reached out to me, the company up in New York, and they sent me a replica shield from the movie.
Nice.
And a nice figurine, and it was a sweet setup too, man. That shield, it was like the limited edition one that cost $1,300 on their website,
What?
and it's unreal. It looks like it's made of true vibranium, and I put that dead center on my wall right there, and I got a Star Wars wall too, because I'm a huge Star Wars fan as well.
Okay.
So
right.
I got my Captain America and my Star Wars, and that's what I wanted my theater room, my movie room, and game room to be like. So
I love
Hey,
it.
So
Captain America's shield was made out of vibranium.
yeah, buddy.
Come on,
that's why
Stevie.
that's why it's
Come on, man.
basically
I'm sorry.
indestructible.
I'm sorry, guys. I just wasn't into the
That's funny.
comics like that, but I love hearing about it though. Like
Yeah.
that's news to me, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Now, Fozzie, did you ever meet Chris Evans, the actor that played Captain America in the MCU movie?
Nah, I never got the opportunity to, because if I would have met him, I would have told him move aside and let me take that role over a little bit.
So what you're saying is they should have cast you as Captain America.
I wish I
That
would
what
have
we're
loved
saying?
it, but I think I was a little too busy playing football, so I wouldn't
were.
have it any other way. But I did cast myself. I got to interview the Boz, Brian Bosworth, last week, leading up to the Oklahoma, the game against Oklahoma, and
Right.
I don't know if you guys know or have seen him on the Fanville commercials, but he's the
Yeah.
sheriff in the Dr. Pepper commercials.
Yep.
And so while I was interviewing him, I had to just shoot my shot. I said, hey, man, I know you're the sheriff, but sheriffs always need a deputy. We can be the Boz and the Foz, and we can run this thing and put it together. So I'm trying to find my way into the next
Hey,
Fanville
I
commercial.
like it,
but,
man.
you know.
I like it.
Dr.
I
Pepper
need to
needs
hire
all
you as
Fozzie.
my agent.
So Foz, it's funny you mentioned about growing up in a single parent home and mom, because we're similar to that, because my mom raised me and everything, but I didn't have any older brothers. So since you had older brothers, what did your older brothers do? Or, were they football players too? What inspired them, or were you inspired by your older siblings?
Yeah, man, that's where my love and passion for football came from. And so both of my brothers, one of them is 4 years older than me and the other is 6.5 years older than me. And the funny thing is, I was trying to play football before they even had an age group for flag for me to even play in. So I'm 3 and 4 years old running around like I'm one of their teammates on the field. And it's like, somebody got to get this boy into football ASAP, because that's what my brothers did. And for me, man, I wanted to be just like my brothers. I wanted to do everything they did. If they went and rode their bicycles to the movie, I want to ride my bicycle to the movies with them. I don't care if I don't even know how to ride a bicycle. And that happened, and I cried. I cried because we were living in some apartments and there was a movie theater right across the parking lot. And my mama would not let me go because I didn't know how to ride my bicycle. And And I cried because I couldn't be with my brothers, but that was my life, was just looking up to them and wanting to do everything that they did. And finally, whenever I had the opportunity to play flag, they were playing tackle. And I used to get penalties all the time because I see them playing tackle. I think
I
I'm
want to play tackle.
I'm tackling too. And so I used to get penalties for tackling in flag football. And then I finally got into padded football. And after that, man, I was able to take off a little bit and have a little fun with my career. And that just jump-started me to pretty much where I am today. But I give all of that passion and where I get a lot of the way I live, my why, from my brothers and my mom.
So I have a question for you. So who's the best athlete of you three?
Out of me and my brothers, is definitely me.
Would they say the same thing though?
They would. So my middle brother, he's a toothpick, man, skin and bones. Boy, he couldn't put on weight if he was wet in the shower with a towel. and that's kind of been his MO all the time. Skinny. We call him middle little because he's the smallest one out of all three of us, but he's still the middle brother, the middle child. So he's the middle little. I'm the baby, but I'm bigger than him. So he always get the short end of that. And then my oldest brother actually played D-line. He was a defensive tackle. So he's a bigger guy. He played at almost 300 pounds whenever he was playing. And so he had some success, but ended up going and getting his kinesiology degree, and now he actually is he's the AD at a junior high school that I actually went to growing up in Pearland. So and then my older brother is my middle brother is an accountant now, but he also served 7 years in the military. So that was his kind of thing, his niche that he ended up finding. But as far as athleticism, it got passed down to me. My mom was the athletic one out of my mom and my dad. And so really? She was all-state track and all-state basketball. And so that's kind of where I got those genetics from.
Where's she from?
She's from Arkansas, man. A small town called Emerson, man, right outside of Louisiana. It's it's very, very small, but that's where she grew up, right outside of Magnolia, boy. It's by population been 319, I think, since I've been going there, since I've been born, and I'm 31 years old now. They ain't changed the population sign for 30 years out there.
Some of those small towns, they don't update their population sign.
Right. I noticed that.
So get into your high school piece real quick. I have a question on that. So, I've seen you play, and you're pretty awesome in my book when it comes to your skill set. So when in high school, were you a starter your freshman year, or did they keep you out of the varsity?
No, I was actually on the freshman team, and I appreciate you saying that, man. I don't take anything that you guys say. If you saw something that you like, man, I truly appreciate it, because I try to display that every single time. But whenever I was a freshman, I was on the freshman team. We had a pretty good freshman team. We went undefeated in district, but it wasn't until the playoffs that I got moved up to varsity just to be an extra body, but I didn't expect to play. But if you know anything about Pearland, man, Pearland is kind of similar to UT as far as producing some really good backs. And so Anthony Evans was one that my oldest brother actually played with. He went on to play at U of H, but Anthony Evans is a top 10 5A rusher. He's on that list. There was another guy named Jeremy Brown who also was on that list that played with my middle brother in 2002. And then whenever I was a freshman, a senior at that time, his name was Brandon Roberson. He's on the top 10 all-time 5A rushing list as well. And he ended up getting a full ride to Northwestern. So I was just biding my time and trying to find and learn as much as I could from those guys that came before me. And I was on I got moved up to varsity, like I said. My Pearland team that year actually got knocked out by Jamal Charles and PA Memorial in the playoffs in the Astrodome. And it was a really, really exciting game, a fun game. But I always share that about Jay Charles too, just seeing the way that he knocked us out of the playoffs my freshman year. And so after that, I was like, man, I don't want to get knocked out like that. And I tried to change as much as I could, but not much changed until my senior year. In my sophomore year, I made varsity, and I actually wasn't even a starter throughout the first 1.5 games. And then after that, I kind of started making my mark and became the true starter from then on out midway through the season. And then after that, it kind of set me up for the rest of my high school career.
You should have went to coach and said, "Don't you know I'm Captain America?" I mean,
man, I didn't have the stripes at the time to be able to be demanding anything. So for me, I take it like I would take any other opportunity or any other challenge. Man, I just put my head down and put in the work. I never was a rah-rah guy, a big speech guy. I like to let my work do the talking. And so if I was going to get an opportunity to do something, it was going to be because I earned it, and not because I had to try to talk my way into it or because I didn't deserve it, but it was going to be because I earned it and I outworked everybody else to try to get to where I want to be or where I'm trying to go.
Right. Was that your senior years when you guys made state semis?
Yeah, senior year,
correct?
we ended up having
You
a
got
nice
knocked
little
out
run.
by PA Memorial?
No. That was my freshman year.
Okay, so senior year.
Beating,
Who beat you in the semis?
That was freaking Nick Foles, man.
So you got the Chaparrals beat you.
The Chaparrals, them Hager,
Yeah.
Jay Tuck. Jay Tuck actually tackled me on the kickoff. I would have scored if he ain't tackled me too, boy.
Let me ask you a
He's
question.
doing
How you
Justin
let the kicker catch you, man?
Man, he didn't catch me. I literally, if you go back and find any highlight from that game or that play, bro, I literally made 10 people miss on that play. And he just happened to be the 11th after I was tired.
Because that's what kickers do.
It was my fault because I didn't make the 11th miss, but
That's what kickers do.
but it was a lot going on.
I watched Cameron Dicker do that at Lake Travis. He did the same thing.
Exactly.
Kickoff returner, ran it back, got past everybody, and then Dicker laid this guy out like he was a linebacker. It was crazy.
Now, I ain't get laid out now. Don't try to do me like that.
I'm sorry, Ozzy. I didn't mean to say that. But yeah, but these kickers, some of these kickers get a little crazy. I totally get it. So,
so when you got your first, how did you get your first, letter of, hey, we were interested in you coming and play college ball? Who was first?
It was after my sophomore year because I told you I began starting after that, and it wasn't like I was getting the major offers or a ton of interest, but I started getting those questionnaires that ask you like, what's your 40 time, what's your height, what's your weight, your GPA, like just general stuff that now they probably don't even do anymore since everything has gone electronic. So those questionnaires used to come in, and actually I still have a big box of it that my mom used to keep for me. And I started getting questionnaires. I would fill them out, get invited to do some camps and stuff. And it kind of was the beginning of the recruiting process. And then after my junior season is whenever it really picked up. Or going into my junior years whenever it really picked up and I started receiving offers. And then that's literally after junior year was I got the most traction that I had received, and went to the junior day at UT and decided a few weeks after that I wanted to play at Texas. Just watching them since I was growing up. I was a huge Miami fan though before that. I was all about the U. Grew up like watching them. Middle school, had Andre Johnson jersey, had a Sean Taylor jersey. I had some customized Nike Shocks with the orange and the green shoelaces. Like, man, I was fresh, and that was where I wanted to go. And then they ended up firing Larry Coker, and that's who I wanted to play for. And I lost all my love for Miami whenever I found out that they were firing him and letting him go after all the things that he had done for that university. And obviously now that I'm older, I understand some of the reasoning why that happens, but it just, at that time that they fired him, and I was just like, nah, that's not who I want to be. And I always watched Texas growing up. Obviously living in Texas, there's a lot of Texas football going on. And so once the interest came and I started getting recruited there and seeing Stevie and the guys win that national championship, that was my junior year whenever If anybody understands recruiting, the junior year is typically whenever you start getting invited to go watch the games and see the games live. So I think that was a pretty good year to be able to watch Texas football play. And so I got to see that atmosphere, the environment, the culture, how Coach Mack Brown set the precedent for what it meant to be like a great coach. And that's whenever it clicked for me, was like, man, Texas kind of where I want to go. I could see myself, being a University of Texas football player. And after my junior year, on junior day, a couple weeks, I got the offer on junior day. I already had an offer from LSU and Oklahoma State and Kansas State. And then got the offer from Texas. And I was like, man, I'm going to think on it. And then I'm going to get back to you. I got back a couple weeks later and committed and didn't turn back. And it was kind of one of the best decisions that I made, honestly, because I didn't want to go into my senior year trying to figure out where I'm going to go or how I'm going to do this, how I'm going to do that. And it just allowed me to play more freely and just be who and what I wanted to be at UT. So that's kind of my whole recruiting process and kind of how it picked up so suddenly.
Do you recommend that to seniors now, to juniors and seniors now? Make that commitment early so that you can focus on your junior and senior in high school playing football?
Man, it's literally everybody's different. I can't recommend what I did to somebody else that's not in the same position. And everybody has to go and find their own reasoning as to why they want to wait or why they want to go ahead and do it early. Nowadays or today's time, it seems like there's more decommitments than I had experienced. I don't know if it's just because social media has made people more aware of decommitments, but like decommitments are like a huge thing now. And then the transfer portal has grown as well. Whenever guys are just not liking a situation, they get out of there and go. Not saying that it's a bad thing, but people are just finding other ways and alternatives to try to find a way on the football field. So for me, for a junior or a senior that's getting recruited, and if you have the opportunity, obviously, to have multiple scholarships, man, that's a blessing in and of itself. And I would just say, don't take it for granted, because there are guys that are hungry and scratching and clawing for scholarships that don't have the offers, don't even have a offer. I look at a kid right now that's in the Austin area. His name's Iman Allen, that plays for Vista Ridge High School. He's a super dynamic guy. He's listed as 5'9", 178 pounds or 170 pounds, I think. But he's one of the most dynamic people I've ever seen live at the high school level with the ball. He's a cornerback that does not get beat deep. He has great ball skills, catches interceptions, also the punt returner and kickoff returner. In the first 3 weeks, he's had a touchdown on kickoff and punt return in either one or the other or both in all 3 games that he's had so far. And this guy I can't find anything on him on the internet, and he's committed to Robert Morris University in Pennsylvania. And I look and I say, this guy is too explosive to only have an offer. I don't know if that's his only offer, but to only have the opportunity to commit to a Robert Morris University. Like, there should be more schools in Texas finding people like that, because I feel like he's that explosive and that electric. I look at the same way for Deuce Vaughn, who was not recruited by like any Texas school. And I see the way that Chris Kleiman got him up there in Kansas State, and he is balling out of control as a true freshman. Undersized at that, 5'5", 160. Nobody expected this dude to do what he's doing, and he's proven everybody wrong. So I look at a lot of the things that's happening from a recruiting standpoint is, man, you just got to find somewhere that believes in you, and then you put the work in and go show them why their belief is not misplaced. So
if you could change that recruiting piece, because I don't necessarily like it, but I don't dislike it. But I do think that, the early commitments is a cool thing, like you said. But, I think recruiting's gotten out of hand. I think a lot of coaches would depend on some of these recruiters to do some of their looking for them.
Yeah.
Rather than going out and seeing for yourself, like you just talked about.
Yep.
And I think that hurts. That hurts everybody.
Number one thing I would get rid of, because I that's the question you kind of were posing.
Yeah.
I take away stars off rip. Because stars don't mean jack whenever you get to to college.
They don't.
mean absolutely nothing. If you see a good football player, then that's a good football player, and he should get recruited regardless of anything else. And that's kind of how I would evaluate players off of, not necessarily only potential, but obviously you got to have a little bit of potential in there whenever you're recruiting. But I just look at them, can they play ball?
Right.
Like, do they know football, and can they play ball? Can they be somebody that makes a difference on the football team? And that's what I would do instead of having a stars. I understand why they have rankings, but to me, the rankings become irrelevant whenever you step foot on a college campus, because at the end of the day, you're going to have to prove your worth no matter if you're a 1-star or 5-star or a walk-on, because anybody can play if you are talented and skilled enough and put in the work.
Well, I agree that 100% because there's been a lot of 4 and 5 stars that come to University of Texas last decade that aren't 4 and 5 stars. They can't hold a jock strap to the guy in front of them. So
Well, and it's just like the NFL draft. It's definitely not an exact science.
I'm just trying to be real, Stevie. I'm just trying to be real.
Hey, that's all you can do, Todd. Just be real, man. That's all. Every week.
That's true. Who was your host when you came to campus?
Yeah, so I actually hosted with Drew Kelson, and that, I guess, relationship had already grown because he and my brother played on the same Little League team in football whenever we were growing up. The MLK Oilers, shout out to my boys back in the H, you know what I'm saying? But that's it was that relationship that kind of grew whenever I was getting recruited at Texas, because Drew was obviously highly recruited and somebody that was on the team already and finding his role. And then Chris Ogbonnaya was the kind of the old wily vet running back that kind of talked to me a little bit. And while he was still there, he hosted me along with Drew, and I just had a great opportunity to chop it up with both of those guys who are super intellectual, people that took school seriously as well as football. And so it was a great combination of people that showed me kind of what the university can provide for me outside of just an athletic standpoint.
Those are really two good guys, man, to have as hosts. Like, I don't know what y'all did when y'all got here, but I'm pretty sure, because I know you, Fonzie.
Mm-hmm.
I know that you're headstrong too, son. Believe me, I love our conversations sometimes, but all the time. I love our conversations all the time. Drew is a smart cat, and Chris Ogbonnaya, both of those guys are heady individuals, and to be a fly on the wall in y'all's conversations, that would be fun, man. That would be a lot of fun. Yeah.
I got to give you a story about my my official visit though, man. It was trash. And the reason why was because I committed early, but I graduated early. But we were playing in the playoffs so late because we made it to the semifinals that I literally almost a week after we finished playing, or maybe it was 2 weeks after, it was winter break, and then I was enrolling to the University of Texas. And whenever I enrolled, it was the first time they had snow and ice in Austin the way that it did. So, like, I wasn't able to really do nothing. Like, we played FIFA, like, a lot. Like, that was kind of the extent of my official visit. It wasn't really much. We ate food and stuff, but it wasn't too much driving because they had this wintry snowstorm that came through and kind of put everything out the way for us. So it was one of those things that I didn't have as good of a
yeah, but I'm sure you made up for it in the next few months and a couple of years.
I was just fine.
Yeah.
I was just fine.
You can't go to Austin and not have a good time at some point.
Right.
Speaking of Austin, man, I guess when you came to campus, man, how was it when you moving into your dorm and things like that? You have any memories of when you like stepped on the campus? Was it welcoming?
Yeah.
Or were you?
My first thing, like I said, I came in on a wintry snowstorm and I didn't have too many contacts in the dorms. So the first week and a half, it was brutal. I was miserable. I got tired of playing the video games. I know I was talking to
mid-year. You came in January.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I was tired of talking to just random people on the video games, and it just was. I text G Weezy, probably George Wynn, who actually was a great mentor for me as well while I was at UT. But I text him and asked him like, "Hey man, you got some guys' number that are on the 3rd, 4th, and 5th floor that I can talk to and hang out with, that can show me some stuff?" And I played against Chalky Brown whenever he was at North Shore, so he connected me with Chalky B, and we were just vibing and finding things to do. But I ran through all my ramen noodles like in that first week and a half. like I couldn't do nothing, didn't have a car, nobody was really driving, like all the ice was there. So my first like week and a half was extremely miserable because nothing was going on. But obviously once school opened back up, once I got to see everybody and start doing the workouts, the 6 a.m. workouts with the team and stuff, then the rest was downhill, man. I had an absolutely fun time on the dirty third floor in Jester East, man. That was us. We had our own little wing, myself, John Childs, Ben Wells, Curtis Brown, Andre Jones. We all committed early and or came in, graduated early, and that was like my coming in crew. Michael Huey. We just made the most of it and just had a really good time, get it adjusted to it. And like I said, Drew was like a big brother to me. So I would spend the night sometimes at him and Frank's house. And Frank took me in like a little brother as well. I talk to Frank almost every single week, man, to this day. And still have a great relationship with Drew. And it's just something that I had a really good time my first year, just getting out of high school life and transitioning on, number one, how to be a young adult. That time management thing, that took a little bit of time getting used to, having to manage, football practice, manage how to get to class, study hall, when to do my homework, when I could socialize and still have a life as a freshman on campus. So it was a time for learning, but it was also a very nice and fun experience for me whenever I got to Austin after that first week and a half, hitting that wintry snowstorm of eating all of my food that I didn't have anymore for the rest of the semester.
So when did you actually start playing? When was your first time you hit the field?
So I redshirted in 2007. So 2008 was my first year. And I had a knee injury, and so I didn't really get an opportunity to show what I could do until UTEP. And I can't remember which game of the season that was, but I was able to get in and I scored a touchdown there. And that was kind of, to me, it felt like my coming out party because it was a great opportunity just to continue to showcase what I could do and just try to be a spark and somebody that could help the team get a win. And so that was whenever I first got on the fields, and just ever since then, just been trying to grind and be somebody that the team could depend on whenever they needed a play from me.
Give me your 2 cents about the man, the myth, Mack Brown.
Man, awesome dude. So I talked earlier about how I got to interview Brian Bosworth, but I also got to interview Mack Brown last week, and
Did you at least give him a big hug?
I wish, man. It was virtual,
Oh.
so everything was on the Zoom call. Myself and Holly Rowe conducted that interview. But, man, I say this guy is still one of the greatest human beings I know, just because I look at it from a memory standpoint. Coach Brown's memory is immaculate. Like, he still can talk about things that happened in a 2000 game that, like, I don't even know if people that played in 2000 even remember certain details. So it's like
I don't remember any of
it's crazy.
Steve, that's because you look at the sideline. Your wife over there. Hey, girl, how you doing?
He was distracted. He was booty blinded.
That's the long play. I was thinking about the long play.
Think of the future.
45
Hey,
years.
baby, how you doing, baby?
It worked. It worked.
You were setting it up.
Setting it up, man.
But Coach Brown is unreal, man. Just his presence. Whenever he comes into the room, he demands attention, but it's not in a mean or negative way, man. He just has that type of utmost respect for other people. And whenever you give respect like that, man, it's bound to come back to you twofold. So seeing the way that he's navigated, my life as a head coach while I was there, And then seeing the way that he's navigating being the North Carolina head coach right now and just having a ton of fun and just really enjoying himself, man. It's unreal because he's a genuine person, man. And he truly wants to see everybody get better. Unless you in his doghouse. If you in his doghouse, you better find a way to get out because you did something really bad if you in his doghouse. But for the most part, man, he just wants to see everybody successful. He wants to see everybody win. But at the end of the day, he just wants to see progress and growth from being kids and teenagers to young men and young adults that can be successful in society. So that's why I love Coach Brown so much, just because he's a great man.
Have you
So
ever
what
had
was
a
your
coach?
first?
Have you ever had a coach that had the magnetism that Mac Brown has had? You know,
No,
high school,
not at all,
college,
man.
NFL.
My high school coach was excellent, and I still have a great relationship with Coach Heath, who's retired now. He doesn't coach at the Pearland anymore, but I have an absolutely great relationship with him. I have a great relationship with Coach Brown, but the relationship that I have with him is unreal. And the closest person probably to it would be Coach Rivera with the Panthers in Carolina, who's now in Washington as the head coach for the football team out there. And it's just it's something about the way that they literally wanted people to become better. And it was not about the game. I've had some great head coaches from that aspect, from high school to Coach Brown to Coach Rivera, man. Those are three coaches that literally wanted to see my growth outside of football be exponential. And if it wasn't for the influence that they had on my life or the influences that they have put into me and instilled into me, man, I probably wouldn't be in the position that I'm in today to be able to have played 6 years active roster in the NFL, 7 years total, and being in a point where I could be a broadcaster covering the Longhorns and talking about it on Sirius XM for a job. Like it is really, really, really eye-opening to see the growth that I've had with those men and the opportunity that they gave me. And then what they saw back is they saw somebody that they can push, and they saw somebody that they can help get to another level, and seeing that they took the time out of, their busy schedules to put whatever it is that they saw in me to keep pushing me, to keep going. And remember, I didn't have a father figure. So some of these guys had to step up and be that father role for me. So that was just, it means everything to me because not everybody got that. And I see how it affected me, and I see how it affected others. So I am very appreciative for those three men in my life for what they've instilled in me to get me to where I am.
Speaking of successes, so all three of us have seen you do all kinds of awesome plays on the field. Give me that one play that you remember when you're at Texas that you knew I'm fixing to do something here, right?
It's funny because I literally it was kind of, I guess, two opportunities, but
give me all of them. All of what you can think of.
Well, it goes hand in hand because we were playing against Oklahoma in the Red River shootout game. The showdown is what it's called now, for better words, I guess. But we were playing in that game my senior year, and we were getting smoked, man. It was 27-3,
yep.
And I reverted back to what Jordan Shipley was able to do back in the 2008 game where we won 45-35. But
awesome game, awesome run back,
yeah. Before halftime, it was 14-3, and we were down and looking for an opportunity or a spark to get going. And Jordan takes that kickback, and that gave us the surge to just keep going and going and going. And we win that game 45-35. And we were the number 5 team at the time, Oklahoma number 1. And I'm looking at my senior year, I kind of have the same opportunity to maybe provide some type of spark for us. Like I said, we down 27-3, so we need any and everything that we can get. And I take the kick and ended up, splitting right up the middle. It parted like the Red Sea, was able to make the kicker miss, and I was able to score in the Cotton Bowl, and that was just a surreal feeling. And then the following week, we're playing Oklahoma State, and we're kind of almost in the same situation where we're getting down. I think we were down by like 12, and we kicked the ball off, and their returner, Justin, what's his last name? Justin Gilbert, number 4. He was a first-round draft pick. He ended up taking that kickoff to the house. And that
I was very mad about that, by the way.
What's that?
I was very upset about that, by the way.
Oh yeah, no question. No, I was too. That's why whenever
I was mad.
Whenever he took it back, man, I had a whole red dot on my eye, and I literally lined back up. And this is the week after the Oklahoma game. I lined up, was like, man, I gotta find a way to put a spark to the team, and was able to take it back. It was a 105-yard return that I was able to answer back to try to keep us into the game.
Wasn't that the one of the longest ever?
It was one of, yes.
Yeah.
And the funny thing about it was Major Applewhite, who was my running back coach, but also the kickoff return coach at the time, told me if it's deeper than 2 yards, leave it. And I didn't. so
that's one of those situations where, you know, coach, I'm sorry, you know, slap you on the hand.
It's one of those things. So what he told me on the sidelines was, you know, that was deep, but if you're gonna give me that result, then do that every single time. So that kind of was my great moments, or one of the best moments that I was able to have, was kind of returning those kicks. It was kind of unexpected because I wasn't even the primary returner for the Oklahoma game, and they just kicked it away from DJ Monroe, who had obviously returned kicks in his career, and it ended up being, I guess, not a good decision for them because I returned it, and then the same thing happened in Oklahoma State. So it was kind of cool from that aspect.
So let's go to probably one of the best moments in Longhorn history. I know you were injured at the time, but 2011, your senior year, it's the final showdown. Longhorns Aggies.
Yes, sir.
Give me just your reflection on that game, the way that Texas was able to, for the final time, show the Aggies who ruled the state.
Man, it was one of the greatest moments that I've been able to experience as a Longhorn, man. In that game, you wouldn't expect any other way for it to go down the way that it did, being the last one, at least for now, to happen the way that it did, down to the wire. Case McCoy having to make a play with his legs in order to get us the opportunity for J-Tuck to be able to kick the game winner. But man, it was awesome because I was on the sidelines, chopping it up with Earl Campbell, because he made it to that game, and that was one of the moments. It was just like, man, I get to chop it up with Earl Campbell. I've talked to him before, but during the game, whenever I'm playing, it's not the same as whenever I'm watching it from a spectator's point of view, and kind of getting some of his feedback while we're on the field, playing and stuff. So throughout some of that game, I got to talk to him and have some conversations while the game is going on. And man, it was just the belief that he had and the belief that I had, I felt like was some of the reasons that helped will us through to victory that night. But that was a very historic night, and one that for sure I'll never forget. And just seeing the way that I guess the mark that I left on some of my teammates, and I guess the pride, and it really almost brought me to tears to see my teammates take over my number, because I hadn't seen that happen before, where they honored a guy that not passed away. Like, I've seen people that passed away, or teammates that passed away, and they wear the number for them to honor them. But for me, man, just ending my career, not being able to finish out my senior year, and seeing the guy step up on my behalf. I know Marquise Ward one time, Kenny Vaccaro Ward one time, Keenan Allen Ward one time, Emmanuel Acho Ward 1 week, and like seeing the way that they were able to do that. Cody Johnson also, and that just meant so much to me, and that was huge. And the Deuce in that game got to make some plays, so it made me smile a little bit more. So I was just extremely happy that we were able to get a team victory, number one, and then seeing the way that it was against our rivals at A&M, that just made it so much sweeter on a last-second kick by J-Tuck. So it was really cool to see it go down like that.
Yeah. To this day, I still call Justin Tucker the Aggie Killer. Doesn't matter how long.
No question.
He's still the Aggie Killer. Along with Case McCoy. Right. In fact, Bucky Godbolt calls Case McCoy the greatest American hero to this day, just because of that game. So,
I
That was
love
an
it.
awesome game.
Yeah.
So when did you figure out, hey, your senior year, you're hurt. How did you, manage to get to the pros, being that you had, you were hurt your senior year?
Man, that's a good question. For me, man, it all came down to just my determination to want to, man. And there were obviously doubts because I had a very extensive knee surgery and knee injury that took me out after we played against Missouri. And from my understanding, a lot of people do not, number one, come back from it because I had a microfracture as well. And if they do come back, they're not the same. And then number two, a lot of people still don't make it to the NFL if they get hurt their senior year, the type of injury to the extent that I had. And so the thing that I just did, and I talked about it in a lot of interviews at the time, was the only thing that I knew how to do was just put my head down and work. And I was able to use it as a blessing in disguise, number one, because I was able to graduate with my master's that following spring. So I finished up getting my master's degree from UT without having to pay anything out of pocket.
I told you were smart.
Oh, you got it, baby.
And then I was working a part-time job, and I had Benny Wiley and Cesar Martinez, who was on staff right then at the time, who were some of the greatest, just workout coaches, and the culture that they created at UT at the time was just one that I wanted to be a part of. So I would team up with them and work out early in the morning and get my training in and my rehab for my knee. And then in the afternoons, I would work a part-time job so that I could make ends meet, obviously from a bills perspective. And that just continued to give me the fight to keep going. And then finally my agent came in and was saying, I got invited to the combine, even though I wasn't able to participate other than bench. So I was able to go to the combine. So obviously I did something well enough to get the attention of somebody to still get a combine invite. I was fielding calls on draft day. Nobody ended up drafting me, obviously, now that we're so far removed from it. But I still was able to talk to a few teams on draft day, knowing that I probably wasn't going to play that year. That showed me that teams still had interest in what I could do and how my recovery process was still going on. So that kind of also gave me a little extra fight and grit to continue to put in the work so that I wouldn't think it was all in vain. And then throughout the process, it was a long recovery process from May, June, July, August, September, like still hearing calls from my agent letting me know, hey, this team wants to know kind of where you're at, what's your progression looking like. This team wants to know where you're at, such and such. Soon we're going to try to get a workout going on. And throughout that time, I would have Cesar record me while I was working out with Benny. Benny would put me through like agility drills and some conditioning type things, and just record it so we could send out to teams just to let them know that I'm still getting my work in and staying in shape. And then finally, my first opportunity in 2012 in December, the Arizona Cardinals called me. They had a running back get injured, and they said, hey, we want to bring you in for a workout. If we like what we see, we'll assign you to the practice squad and go from there. And I went out, made the most of it, and they signed me to the practice squad, and was able to stay in the league for 7 years following that opportunity. But it wasn't an easy one. It wasn't even once I made it to that point, it wasn't easy then because I was still cut and released and having to go through claiming off of waivers and everything that got me to this point. But it just, at the end of the day, man, if I can control one thing, I can control how hard I work and what I do. So that's the only thing I fell back on, was just, I'm going to work hard. I got my master's degree that I could fall back on and continue to elevate my life from that perspective if I need to. But I'm going to put everything into trying to make the NFL right now while I have the opportunity to and go all in. So that's what I did. And ultimately it paid out for me. So I'm here today after such a shaky start to my NFL career, or a shaky end to my college career.
Yeah, it's no end. You're gonna do great things, because you're smart. You got a master's. You're a pretty boy. So therefore, my question is,
I'm not a pretty boy now, just
Yeah,
because
yeah,
I got
you are.
curls in my head.
No,
that
you're
don't make
close.
me a pretty boy.
You're a pretty boy.
I might be the furthest from a pretty boy that you know. It ain't too many people that's walking in the water trying to catch fish and do all the things that I be doing, country lifestyle like that. It ain't too many pretty boys like that. So I ain't.
Well,
So-
but I know pretty boys with trucks like yours though too.
See, there you go. So
I got an off-road truck so I can go hunting and I'm not gonna get stuck.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, smart move.
okay, so you use your Raptor for good. I know some pretty boys that just keep their Raptors on the road.
Mm-mm.
That's it.
My Raptor dirty from being off-road right now.
So have you ever thought about being a one of those emotional speakers?
Motivational.
Motivational speakers, because you got all the tools, man.
Man, I don't necessarily look at it from a standpoint of trying to make that a job of mine.
Right.
It's not just my passion. So my passion is helping kids. I started a nonprofit with my wife and my mom 5 years ago, back in 2015. And that's literally what I like to expend my motivational speeches to, is trying to help kids. And today I actually teamed up with another organization called BAMFAM organization that is local out here, a guy named Ollie Mayberry that I've had great relationship with that helps me run my football camps in Austin and in Houston.
Ollie.
We did a ride-along program, which is to help kind of bridge the gap between police departments and just schools and the city. And it was extremely awesome. I was able to do it in Leander today with the Leander Police Department, and we went up to Leander High School, and I got to talk to the high school kids up there and just let them know my experiences with police officers that I had. I let them know I still know the SROs that was on campus whenever I went to Pearland High School, and I still have a good relationship with them, Officer Jones and Officer Landis. And it just was something that I like to expend my time helping others that are going to come after me, so that hopefully they don't make the same mistakes that I did, or hopefully they don't make the same mistakes that people before them made. And I talked earlier with you guys about the borrowed and the bought knowledge, and that's kind of what helps fuel me to be somebody that wants to give back to the community. Is I want them to not make mistakes that I've seen done, or I don't want them to make the same mistakes that I did. I want them to have a better life moving forward. So my foundation, Fozzie's Future Heroes, literally hinges off of seeing the future leaders of tomorrow being sculpted today by what we do and instill into them. So that's kind of how my passion for, I guess, motivational speaking comes from. But I usually try to expand into the kids, because I feel like that's the most important reach for me. Number one, because there are kids like me that didn't have a male figure or a male role model to look up to, or obviously didn't have a lot of kids that were in contact with a professional athlete or somebody that played at the professional level or the collegiate level for that matter. I never talked to any football player that was like on that level on a personal level. I've seen people that maybe said hi to somebody, but never had to have a conversation or a Q&A session with them, never had them tell me, what they did to get to where I'm at. I never had that. So I want to be that for somebody else, for these kids that come after me. So that's kind of my reasoning and kind of where I expend my motivational speeches towards.
Amazing. Absolutely.
I think that's awesome, man. I think we're going to wrap up here in a little bit, but I want you to also share what you got coming soon.
Yeah. So along with some of the community engagement work that we do, my wife and I and our business partners, who, don't take it too hard on them, are Oklahoma graduates. We have combined and come together to sign a franchise agreement to open up a gym. And it's called Burn Boot Camp, which is based out of Charlotte. I was able to find them through my time spent with the Carolina Panthers. But it's actually really all from my wife, because while I was at practice and we had our son Frost, she would look for somewhere to work out at a gym to stay in shape. And she just at first was not able to find the right spot. And somebody suggested, go check out this 14-day free trial at this Burn Boot Camp right down the street from where we lived at the time in Elizabeth, which is within the Charlotte area. And she was like, okay, I'll check it out. It's 14 days. It's free. Let's see what it's about. And she found out the childcare there was great. So my son Frost was able to go into childcare while she got a great workout in. And that 14-day free trial turned into us actually purchasing one and going to open one up in Cedar Park. Whenever they weren't even supposed to come back after the 14th day because they didn't plan on paying. So it turned into a whole full-blown investment for us. And our business partners, Eric and Nikki Enberg, are, like I said, Oklahoma graduates. But I looked at it like this. We're going into business with them. And a lot of people are saying, oh, man, how you doing that, Texas, Oklahoma? You can't do that. Like, you can't do that. But I say that to say this. I look at how football teams are formed in the Big 12. And a lot of times, if you want to win a Big 12 championship, you're going to have to face either Texas or Oklahoma to win a Big 12 championship. And I said, if ever there was a time that Oklahoma and Texas could combine a team, there is nobody in college football that would be able to stop that. If Oklahoma and Texas combine, there's nobody in college football that could stop them. And that's the same mindset and the mentality that we kind of created with our partners, Nikki and Eric, that my wife and I created. And we were just like, man, we're going to create this unstoppable team that hopefully is able to provide that community aspect to Cedar Park in the gym that we have, and be able to help change lives for the better and provide childcare while doing it. So hopefully next year, before the Red River Showdown, is when we plan to open up and probably have a Red River special for people during that time frame to be able to kind of play on both of our alma maters and have a little fun with that while we're doing it. But it'll be open sometime next year, hopefully around football season, whenever football season's kicking back up.
Awesome. That's awesome. Congratulations. Good luck.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And for the record, just because they're not part of UT don't mean they're not good people, right?
That's true. That is true. That is true.
Once we're done with all the whole, 1 weekend a month, a year, and all the other crazy, bottom line is people to people. And you got a great partnership there, man. Run with it. I wish you guys awesome success.
No question. My quarterback in high school went to Oklahoma, so we go back and forth all the time. But man, that's probably the closest person to a brother that I have that has looked out for me ever since we were little kids, man. So I know that relationship obviously is still a good one, no matter what school either one of us went to.
Yeah,
absolutely. After all, Darrell Royal started out as a Sooner.
Yeah,
so there you go. Before we let you go, tell everybody about how they can find out about your foundation and about the work you're doing with Bam Fam.
Yeah, so on my Twitter, on my Instagram, I post about my foundation, Fozzie'sFutureHeroes.com, and you can just go to that website, or you can go to my social media pages at Fozzie Witt, FOZZYWHITT. That's on Instagram and that's on Twitter, and you can find more information there. I have pictures. We got all types of stuff that we kind of do. Holiday season is about to come up, so during this time frame, we'd like to start gathering gifts to be able to give to some of the kids that don't necessarily get an opportunity to have Christmas gifts or Thanksgiving meals and things of that nature. So we'll start gathering supplies to be able to start doing some fundraising to try to give back from that aspect. But Fozzie'sFutureHeroes.com is where that information can be found as well.
That's awesome. Fozzie Whitaker, not only one of the best running backs and kick returners to ever be on the 40 acres, also one of the best guys ever to be on the 40 acres. Man, it's so good to catch up with you. You're looking great.
I'm trying to.
Family doing okay?
They're doing excellent.
Okay.
They're doing excellent. My wife is doing great. I got a 6-year-old son named Frost and my 3-year-old daughter, Nova. Keeping us busy now that, a little bit has moved forward. Frost playing baseball and football. COVID has kind of been crazy, obviously, for all of us. And then my daughter just started back doing gymnastics. And so it's been a fun time getting the kids back involved with some extracurriculars that they kind of were lacking for a little bit of time. So.
I've actually heard about your son through the grapevine, man. I hear that he's going to be a beast on the field out there, man.
Man, he can play. He makes some plays, so he makes me a proud father. That's for sure, man.
Actually, it's from Philip Geiger. He has a 6-year-old son.
Yeah. We play against him in the same league. So
He told me about it. So, hey, let's see if y'all can team up on the same team.
I know that'd be so cool.
Yeah.
Well, as he mentioned, make sure you follow Fozzie on Twitter and Instagram at FozzieWhitt, Fozzywhittt. You can see everything that Fozzie's doing. Make sure you catch him on Big 12 this morning on SiriusXM. Make sure you catch him on Texas Game Day, pre and post on the Longhorn Network. Again, Fozzie, such a great time to chat with you. We wish you all the best. We wish you all the luck. Stay in touch with us. We want to make sure we keep posted on everything that you're doing. That'll do it for this week's Longhorn Lowdown. Make sure you follow us. You follow Todd on Instagram at 94.hunt. Make sure you follow Stevie on Instagram at StevieLee65 and on Twitter at StevieJLee. Make sure you follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Stu Myrick. That's STEWMYRICK. And you can follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Longhorn Lowdown. We're going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great rest of your week. And until next time, hook 'em.
Hook 'em.
Welcome.